Hey there, I'm Demitri, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about, pricing your house because a lot of times I go to talk to people and I ask them, well, how much do you want for your house? And then they tell me a story about how, Mary and Bill, for instance, had their house for sale. They sold it for $550,000, and their house is a dump. Our house has this upgrade and that upgrade. We're worth at least $600,000 because of that. And I get that. People look at that a lot. A lot of times the number that they have is wrong. It's what the neighborhood said and not really the reality. And when you go back and look at the data and say, oh, this is what it actually sold for, and then you get better comparisons. So I just wanted to share with you a few items to look at, and let's get into that. So the first thing that I would tell you is that obviously, hang on, I'll adjust this a little bit. People are first, what do? They always go to Zillow. So let's just take a look at a particular house. Let's see, I went here. So in this particular house, 12 Ironwood Way, Zillow says it's worth $542,000 and $500. So I said, okay, well that sounds pretty cool. I like that number. Well, what does Redfin say? Well, Redfin says that same house is 587. Oh, I like that even better, right? So the same house, 12 Ironwood Way, 587. Then I go out and I say, well, what does, oh, that timed out on me. Let me see if we can do this. This is, I think it's Bank of America. And hell, let's just put it right in here because we want to estimate our thing. So they time out apparently. Ironwood Way. I spelled that wrong. Wood Way North. There we go. 12 Ironwood Way North, Palm Beach Gardens. All right, let's see what they come up with. 521. All right, I don't like that as much. So you can see there's a wide variation that goes in there. And obviously, when I talk to sellers, what do they pick? Well, they naturally pick the highest number because everybody loves the highest number when you're selling. I talk to buyers and I say, what do you want to pay for this house? They're going to go to the lower one. So here we'd have this, just on these three examples, 521 all the way to Redfin's 587. That's $60,000 of a difference, of a swing. Sitting in the middle, 542. So if I jump into some other tools, so let's go to Remind, for instance. Remind comes back and says 550. Says 555. Of course, they pull numbers from other places. First American, which is like the Bank of America one, they say 570. Remind even has, now this 555, this is, as it says, is the average valuation. In other words, they took these values and gave you this average. Remind's actual value is 521. Redfin 587, which that Redfin differs. No, that did come up to the same one. I thought we were slightly different, but it came up with the same one. And then, of course, this estimate of what Zillow has. So my point here is solely that the pricing is all over the board. There's no like one way of being able to go somewhere and go, this is the exact number. Okay. In reality, your house is actually worth what somebody's willing to pay for it at that moment in time. Today somebody shows up to your house and they say, look, I got cash. I'm going to give you $500,000 for it. And that's all. I don't want to give you any more. But you got one person, $500,000. Well, that's what your house is worth today. The question is, will you take that for your house? That's the other side of that question. You don't have to. But if you're going to market your house for sale, you've got to put it in a number that is appealing to a larger variety of people, not just that unicorn that might show up and somebody said, well, you know what, I don't really care what it costs, I've got to be in that neighborhood, I'll pay you $650,000 for your house because my kid lives 2 doors down and I have to be here and I have the money, I don't really care if I overpay. So those are, as I call, unicorn moments, and if we price your house for them, it's not going to sell. Not only is it not going to sell, it's going to hurt you, because what's going to happen is your house is going to sit there and be on the market for a long period of time, and then people look at it and go, buyers that would come, they go, well, what's wrong with this house? Nobody bought it. Something's wrong. Either the house has a problem or it's overpriced. They're going to find reasons that there's just no way, and then they're going to start offering lowball numbers. So you got to price it appropriately so that you get the offers in the beginning. Now, let's look at one other thing, just just to show you if I went through that particular thing. So if I jumped into the MLS itself, it tells me that in that neighborhood, and you can see in this neighborhood, these are all the houses for that neighborhood. We got 1,300 square feet, 1480, 1418, 1480, 1320. They're all pretty much the same house. There's probably 5 different floor plans, but they're within 100, 150 square feet of each other. They all look pretty much alike, just the flow slightly different. They're all 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a garage. They're really the same. What sets some of them apart is people have added a pool. Maybe they're on a golf course, not on a golf course. But if you take this house, which was never updated, I happen to have gone in this house. This particular house was never updated, and it was sold for $469. Now, we assume $469. I don't know that that's actual price because it hasn't closed. I don't have any data to go to. I'd have to actually call the agent, and if they'll tell me what it sold for, or wait until it closes and look at the tax records to see what it actually sold for. Now I could look at like this house right here. Let's see, 63 Ironwood. They just closed at $625. I don't think it actually sold for $625. I think it sold close to that at $600. But I can tell you they did everything to this house. It was very, very nice. This 621, I know they did everything to it also. But you can see even in this neighborhood with these things, it depends on what was done to the house, and you have a wide variety. I mean, 469 to 625, not quite $200,000, but almost. That's a big swing when you go from the difference. That certainly can pay for a lot of upgrades. So anyway, I just wanted you to see that there's a wide variety. Let's look at one other thing. 625, 13 days on the market. That house was priced well because it came in at a price. People said, hey, let's get it. It was done in that. 469, took 20 days to get that done. I actually know this house was actually under contract at 10 days because I actually had the contract on it with one of my buyers, and they backed out because they felt they had to do too much in updates, but somebody else did not, so they came through there. 20 days, 17 days. Now this house here, while it sold at $537, its original listing price, look right here, $595. So it sold at $537. They had it listed at $595. It took 139 days to sell it. So that shows you it was way overpriced. That was $60,000 or sitting there. And had they lowered it, it probably would have gotten it sold a lot faster. This was priced at $469, sold at $469. $485, $460, did it in 20 days. $459, $446, did it in 17 days. So you can see that these are, when you price it correctly, it goes pretty quickly. It should probably be under contract within 30 days. All right, so that's the thing I wanted to talk to you about on pricing your house. We've got to come up to a number that's going to work. And in that particular example that I showed you, that didn't have any actives. There was nobody else on the market. So that's one other thing you have to take into consideration. And that is, who are you competing against? What are the other houses like yours in your neighborhood or in your surrounding neighborhood? And realize that in your surrounding neighborhood, if you take a half-mile circle around you, you got to figure that somebody looking at your house is going to look at anything in that half mile, probably in a whole mile radius around you, because it's probably in the same school districts, close, same distance to their work, same distance to their church, all of those things, and they're going to look in that area. So that is your competition. The difference is going to be, is one neighborhood gated versus the other? Is one neighborhood have a higher HOA than another one? So those are all things you've got to take into consideration and decide what's a good number that I'm not reaching too far. I'm making it to where I've got multiple buyers that will come in and make an offer so that I can get this thing sold. All right, that's what I wanted to tell you all about pricing your house and doing it in a good way.